Hey guys, welcome back. This is Blue Forest. So I have now gone through the new Bot Incursion, those fortunate ones. I've done a bunch of the lanes, so I just wanted to give you a few tips, recommendations. Overall, it's not that bad. There aren't any ridiculously crazy mods, but there are going to be a couple of tricky fights. So the first chapter, we have the Cheetor boss. The hard lane in that is crit damage. Cheetor himself is on crit damage and power flow. So you just have to be careful of his power flow. And remember, you cannot rely on a bot like Prowl or Kickback because Cheetor cannot be power drained. So I just used Necro the first time. It went fine. You just attack, get him up to a special 1, bait it out, then attack again. Because if you attack him too much, he'll probably get up to a special 3. But overall, the first chapter is not too difficult. Should not give you a problem. The second chapter with the DOTM B boss, this one is a bit difficult. It will cause problems for some people just because that B boss is really, really annoying. So the hard lane in the second chapter is physical resistance, and B himself is on physical resistance, but what makes him tricky is that he's also on evade melee and evade ranged. And B is already an evade bot, right? So they put him on those mods as well, and that means he will be evading constantly. I mean, endlessly. It's one of the most evasive bosses we've had in a long time. So, I used Mixmaster just because I wanted to see how it would go. It went okay, but I had to fight very patiently. It was super hard to land more than a couple hits in a row. So, I would say generally, if you have an anti-evade bot like a Drift or Hot Rod, I did use Drift once and it went more smoothly. Those two would be good. You could use RC, you could use Necro, you could use Hound. But regardless, be very careful when you fight him. As soon as he evades, back off, because otherwise he's going to counter you over and over again. So that one is just tricky. It's just annoying. But you should be able to get through it as long as you play it carefully. And then the final chapter, we have Sunstreaker for the first time. This was actually my very first time fighting against him. I have not even faced him in arenas yet. And that chapter has crit damage, has a repair timed lane, and it has a melee bleed lane, right, where they're going to land bleeds on you if they hit you with melees. So if you struggle with that, you might want to bring a Purifier. Sunstreaker himself, he's not too bad. He's typical, aggressive final boss. Thankfully, he was a bit predictable. He likes to kind of go for combos and then heavy, so you can often counter after he heavies. I did find, though, that he has a pretty good reach advantage with that sword of his, like more than you might think. And in terms of mods, he's on crit damage, he's on melee bleed, and he's on enhanced bleed, which means if he lands any combos on you, you're going to be bleeding like crazy. And he's on repair timed. So if you struggle with bleed, bleed mods or, DOT mods, you might want to have a bot like Grim, TC, MV1 with you in case you get into trouble. I used OGP both times I've done it, and it was okay. But you do want to mainly attack by countering. I also found that there is a weird thing with the special 1, so when you use him, he will whiff on it if you don't time it perfectly. But I found that when I was fighting against him, the frame just kind of froze for a split second when he did the special 1, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. So you have to be careful of that. I had to block the first hit a couple of times. Also remember that when he drops below 40%, he's going to go unstoppable. And because he's on repair timed, he might go below 40% and then come back above it and then drop below it again. So be very mindful of when that unstoppable will activate because he will try to take advantage of it. So, you could use OGP, OGM, like I said, a Purifier if you struggle with bleeds. You could also use Cheetor or Shockwave to inflict repair block to help with that. But he shouldn't be too hard. Just be very mindful of those bleeds because he is going to hit very, very hard. So I will leave it there for now, guys. Overall, a decent time slide, a couple interesting mods, but nothing too difficult. But I would say that Tech B fight will be fairly tricky for some people. So you're going to have to be really careful in that fight. So anyway, let me know if you guys have any questions. Until we speak again, take care of yourselves. And we will be in touch again soon.